Friday night when we're recording this. This is our old night. We used to record on Friday night. We haven't in a while. We pulled the old switcheroo this week and changed up our schedule a bit. So here we are. Captain's on right here, right now. Number 220 of the Whatnauts, Captain Zog, where every week we thirst for the taste of legend. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how's your week been?
It's been all right. Been kind of busy. We've been watching the Fast and the Furious movies for review show. We're going to talk about the first 3 of those in our next episode. And I've had to watch them in chunks, which I don't normally do. I don't like to slice up a movie in little pieces. I want to watch it all at once.
Like how big of a chunk? Are you watching like act 1 of Fast and the Furious, and then you have to like go back to work, and then it's like act 2 of that one, and then
it's like I watch the first hour, and then the next night I watch like the next 45 minutes.
Is this because of just like general busyness in your schedule?
Yeah, like I don't stay up that late. We don't have to talk about this. I don't think this is exciting to people. I don't think people need to know that I go to bed at approximately 11 p.m. And sometimes I'm done with work at 9:30, and then I take a shower and I watch 1 hour of a movie. That's enough. You can stop here.
Well, speaking of the Fast and the Furious, we're excited to talk about that on the review show. It's interesting for me to watch these ones, because the first 3 are the only ones that I have seen. I've not watched anything past that, but just from kind of like the cultural zeitgeist, I kind of understand like the direction they went and how ridiculous they got. But what's interesting for me is my partner has only seen Hobbs and Shaw. Hasn't seen any of them. Has only seen Hobbs and Shaw. And so when we started to watch, or when we talked about like thinking about watching these, she was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen any of these except for Hobbs and Shaw. And I was just like, what? Oh my God. So like going back and watching these ones and like knowing where they started and then where they get to, like I'm just sitting there like, wow, what is going through her head right now? Like knowing that somehow they get to like the superhero style antics in Hobbs and Shaw, right? It's just like, what must she be thinking right now?
It is wild, because I also know that I have not seen any of these. I've seen 0% of them, but I have seen like all the trailers. I've heard people talk about them on podcasts. I know they go to truly astronomical
Incredible
heights.
Yeah.
So to watch the first one, it seems so small. Like the film might as well have just been filmed in Dominic Toretto's driveway. That's how relatively small in scope it is.
Yeah. So we'll have our full thoughts on those first 3 movies real soon here, because we're recording that on Sunday, so it'll be out shortly after this guy here. I'm excited about that. Good fun.
Nice journey.
Yeah. I had a segue in mind, but now I completely lost it for stuff like that. So I guess I can kind of update you all with how my week has been. I finally got hit by COVID. Finally came to my house. My partner got it last week, or early on, and at that I was like, well, I'm probably gonna get it at some point here in a sec, just because I'm in close proximity, and I started to get symptoms, and was sick through like the end of last week into all last weekend. And then we recorded this past Sunday. I was like, yeah, I'll be fine, because my symptoms started to like go back down. And then just from Sunday on, they've mostly kind of plateaued until like 2 days ago, when I started to feel a little bit better. So I I feel so much better than I did last weekend at this time. But I had to take the Monday off of work. Still, was just like I'm so exhausted. Like it's not even that I like had that bad of symptoms, except the fact just like getting up and walking from this seat to my couch, I was just like, I have to catch my breath, man. Like this is exhausting. So I was just like, yeah, there's no way that I can get work done like this. So, and I'm thankful I did, because that was, if I had worked that day, I would have been probably still sick right now.
Oh,
So,
oof.
But that's my week. That's what I've been up to. That's the update here. But yeah, feeling a lot better. So that's good.
Good.
That's good.
I'm glad to hear it. Rachel also much better. Rachel, good.
Yes. Yeah, she's good.
Awesome.
She had to, since she actually goes into her job physically, she had to quarantine at home for like 5 days. And they have like a mandatory, like when you're quarantining, you cannot work from home. Like you need to get rest, which I now understand. But at a certain, like, hey, certain people maybe at the end of those 5 days maybe could, like, it would, like, if they want to and they're feeling better, I don't understand why they can't. But you do need a lot of rest to get over it. So understandable. But then we got snow this past week too. So the first day that she was supposed to go back, the day they were like, everyone work from home, stay home. So she got to work from home for the next 2 days after that, which I think helped.
Nice.
We're mostly back to normal now, so good stuff there. Good stuff.
Good to hear it.
Melissa, I have a question. Regarding the review show. I think this is what I was going to segue to, since we were talking about Fast and the Furious.
I don't want to interrupt you just as you were getting started, but at some point this week, I heard somebody shorten the word segue only to seg. I no longer remember in what context I heard it, but as soon as you said segue, it threw me back into the startling memory. Like,
it's like,
I
wow,
guess the point of
an older millennial, huh? You say the whole word. You say segue. Who says that?
It's like, I understand that the point of a segue is to be prompt.
Right,
so I guess I can get the efficiency of you shaving off one extra syllable, but it was truly startling. I felt shaken when I heard it.
Well, the Whatnauts captain's logs. Come here for the hot segs.
Cool treats.
Anyways, the review show. So on the review show, we like to play our like review show bingo, our like movie trope, entertainment trope bingo, where our bingo cards are filled with things like there's a sex scene set to music, or they sporadically bust out in song or in dance, or some detective decides to make this personal, right? Or there's the like, if I'm here and you're here, then who's driving the bus? Like just stuff like that are common to all kinds of entertainment. I've been like I'm wondering if there's some other kind of way that we can gamify the review show. And not necessarily in the way that like, oh, we have a new segment, right? Like we have our, here's our spoiler free section, then we do the spoiler review, then we do the bingo, and then the recommend, like not necessarily a new segment in there, though if we come up with something that's good, why not, right? But I'm thinking more of like in the way we pick what topics we're gonna talk about. So I had an idea for something but it's not necessarily something that I would want to implement unless we have more of these things to do. So
More of
you
what
remember,
things?
let me explain. So you remember back in the day when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was a thing, and they had their lifelines, right? And they had those like 3
Yes.
lifelines. Lifelines is not the right word per se, but like if we had like 2 or 3 power moves, I don't know what to call them, right? But like 3 like Yu-Gi-Oh trap cards that we could like lay down that would switch things
Exactly.
up somehow.
Yu-Gi-Oh
I think
trap
would be
cards.
neat.
I understand. I get it. I
Right?
get this.
Right? Yes.
I tried to do this once. I think like our first winter together. You mentioned that you weren't a big fan of Christmas movies. So I think I did
in
3.
general,
I pitched you
yeah.
3 Christmas movies, and then I offered you the option of a gift card, which is where you could pick your own movie that felt like it was approximately similar to the things I had pitched you. I'm like, if you're not that big into Christmas movies, like I'm gonna let you have an out so you can pick something that's like, oh, it's not Christmas, but it's like it's Fargo. I love crime and it's snowing. That's close enough. And it didn't work then.
I'm not necessarily opposed to that idea. I think in that moment, my mindset was probably like, well, let's just stick on theme. Like, why not? Like, we have our Christmas thing that we do at the end of the year. Let's just stick with that. The one idea I had is like maybe one time a year you can activate your trap card where you get to dictate what we do. Like instead of like pitching 3 things, right? You're just like, hey, this next week, this is what we do here. And it like, I think we know kind of the meta of the review show not to be like, and we're gonna watch a 24 episode, hour long episode thing in 1 week, right? Like it has within reason, right? There has to be like a thing there, which I think you and I know.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I think if we had something like one time in the calendar year, you can be like, hey, we're watching this movie, we are reading this comic, and that's it. Like, that's just what we do here. I think that'd be neat, but I would want other things. Another one that I thought of was like, what if one time a year you can switch up the schedule? So you go twice in a row, because we usually alternate. And I know that kind of like we do our end of the month special, so that like there's some stuff in there. But that was just an idea, just a thought.
You're right in that sometimes we have dictated something. I once gave you the right to make it the $1 billion code week, where you could not give any other pitches. You would just assign both of us to the show $1 billion code. Like, I agreed to that beforehand. And I pitched you. I gave you no pitches. I did demand that we watch the National Treasure movies last 4th of July weekend. Because I'm like, what's the point in nominating other things? You're going to pick that. Sometimes I've done that. I think sometimes it's like I really have 2 things. Like, I didn't bother coming up with a third. It's really a contest between these 2. I think we can be more like certain about it. Like, at this point, after doing this for almost like 5 years, I think there can be times when we will look at each other and be like, it's this. You don't need options. I know we are both going to agree on this one thing, so we're just going to do it now. Yeah. But I don't know if we need to make like, when you start talking about having like switcheroos and double weeks and things, then it starts to sound like when I ask my dad, how do you play football? Like, this can't get so complicated that it sounds like, it's like when you pick up a book and the book's got a fantasy sport in it and you got to understand all the rules to the fantasy sport. We can't we can gamify it a little bit, that can't be so gamified that it becomes
Right.
a sport.
I agree with you. That's why, like, I would want, like, maybe 2 of these things we could activate, or 3 at the most. Not like we have an arsenal of 16 different right? Just like we have 1, 2, or 3 things, and we can only use it once in a calendar year, and then it's up, and then whatever we're stuck on is, the, or you don't have to use them all, right? It's just if you want to, you can lay down your reverse Uno card, right, and just be like, haha, boom, there you go.
When you first introduced this, like, who wants to be a millionaire lifelines, I did think of phone a friend. Because there have been plenty of weeks where, like, I've pitched you 3 things and you're like, I don't know what I want to watch. And I've thought about asking, like, well, what does Rachel want to watch? Like, some weeks
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know. Like, yell in the other room, ask what Rachel wants to watch this week. And that's what we do. She doesn't have to be on the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, like, that is a potential idea. We could do a phone a friend thing like that.
The only trouble is that our friends and our audience are the same people. Like, that's one Venn diagram circle.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like, I might pick something that Jack might not pick, or that Sam might not pick, right? Whereas they would have been like, no, choose like number 4, my lord, right? they might, and so that might be an interesting thing, because we might end up with something that maybe I necessarily wouldn't have gone with, or you necessarily wouldn't have gone with. Or who knows, like, maybe we come up with a totally different idea, and it's not these like lifeline style things, but it's something else. I just like had that thought this week of like, man, Melissa had such a great idea when she was like, let's do bingo on this, and I'm sitting there like, I need to start contributing to this podcast too.
I will tell you that the pitch structure is enough of a game for me. Like,
Sure.
know how often I design like a dedicated set of 3 pitches that like are all in one specific sub-genre. They all fall under some category. They all form
theme,
some sort of joke. That's enough for me. I love that.
Yeah. Which at the end of the day, we might not do anything, right? But I was just like, is there some other way? Like,
I do like the idea of we don't have to put like a specific number on it, like you get 2 and I get 2 and we're done at the end of the year. But I do like the idea of I declare it's this. Like, next month you could be like, Quantumania's this week, we're reading this Ant-Man comic, and I'm like, okay, I accept. I would have picked that anyway.
That makes sense. Yeah. Indeed. I just thought I would toss that out there and see what you thought, or if you're like, yeah, I had this one idea in the back of my mind, I've been saving it, but I don't know, maybe we'll think of something, maybe we won't. But yeah, sometimes it's fun to just like gamify these things and throw little curve balls in there every now and then. Let's see. Before we do housekeeping, let's knock out this like pop culture news stuff that I kind of want to mention here, because they're real quick, not much. First up, Doom Patrol and Titans have both been, I don't want to use the word canceled, but they are ending after their 4th seasons. They, from what I understand, they kind of saw the writing on the wall coming. So they have planned out endings for each of those shows. Like, they are getting like, this is the series finale. And it's not just like, well, it's going to be left on a cliffhanger. Who knows? But yeah, I still need to watch the most recent 4th seasons of those, which are still coming out. I think they're almost done. But those are wrapping up. And I am sad to see those go, because I actually quite enjoy those.
I'm happy both of those have lasted as long as they have, especially since they started on the DC Universe platform, a platform that existed for what, like a year before it just got absorbed into HBO Max, which
I mean,
itself
it
is like
technically
merging
still
with another
exists.
life form.
It
Well,
got like
in the
split up.
comics form,
Yeah,
yeah. But
Um.
the
Oh well.
I like that they've lasted as long as they have. Seems like people have liked them. Like I don't hear much about Titans, but Doom Patrol seems to be frequently spoken of very highly. Brendan Fraser just nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to this later. He's probably going to win. It would be nice if
I hope
that
he
show
does.
could go on long enough to promote itself with starring Oscar winner Brendan Fraser as the robot man.
So I'll have a question for you regarding that once we get into the Oscar talk in the second half of the show here. But more in movie and show news here. The Last of Us has been renewed for season 2, which is pretty darn cool. I was kind of hoping it would. I also kind of hope it does not get more than that. I hope it does its 2-season run, and that's it. There are 2 video games, and I hope season 1 is all of the stuff in the first game, and season 2 is all the stuff in the second game, and that's it. I hope they don't try to like extend it and do all these things and be like, how can we do season 3? And it's, yeah. But that show is fantastic. It is great. I like it a lot. And last but not least here, in our pop culture news, Violent Night is getting a sequel. Violent Night 2 is in the works. I went to go,
Night.
Yeah. I went to go see this over winter break and had a blast. It is a dumb movie. It is gory. It is like, what if Santa was John McClane? But also one part Home Alone mixed in there. And it's ridiculous.
Isn't the plot like John Leguizamo comes to like rob this kid's house on like hold the kid's family hostage on like Christmas Eve, and the kid's
Basically.
like, I can ask Santa for anything I want. I want Santa to come and take care of this guy. And then David Harbour comes down the chimney, like cracks his knuckles, cracks his neck, hits him with a big candy cane or something.
Close enough. Yeah, like that's all you need to know. It is ridiculous. There's terrible, real cheesy one-liners in there. There are, some like Home Alone antics that it's like it truly felt like the Home Alone stuff, but also it's rated R and it's gory. So like you see some of that stuff coming and you're just like, oh, that is disgusting. But yeah, it's action packed. It's good. I'm happy that this is getting a sequel because I think this is going to be up there in those like cult classic, like it's a Christmas movie, but I like is it really? It is, but it isn't.
What would make it not a Christmas movie? It sounds like the only thing that would make it not a Christmas movie is the fact that you can't put it on for the whole family.
Basically that. Like this is not like a kid's movie that is like, oh, holiday, like just warm your heart, like you want the moon, Mary, like here we'll get that. Like no, it's not all of that stuff. But yeah, I think in the same way that people defend those like, is this movie technically a Christmas movie, like all that stuff, I think this will be in a similar circle, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I think you're making this into an argument that it truly is not. It is thoroughly 100% a Christmas movie. Okay. It's just like you don't put the kids in the room for that one. That doesn't make it like any degree less Christmassy.
Put the kids to bed and break out the alcohol, and then you can start watching that one. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I have to say on that stuff.
Nice to know.
Yeah. I'm excited about all of that. But yeah, that's it for like the pop culture news stuff that we have for right now. So let's take a quick break for housekeeping. And when we come back, we got some Oscar nomination stuff to talk about, and maybe some what we've been watching stuff. So we will be right back. Here at the Whatnauts, we make multiple different shows, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. If you enjoy our shows, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is the best place to show your support. For just $1 a month, you can get early access to episodes, and at our $3 tier, a Patreon-exclusive podcast, The Pilots Club. You can even get a shout out and thank you on most of our shows at the $5 tier. And if you're one of our patrons already, thank you so much, it means the world to us. You can find out more information on our website, thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in The Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. You can also find us on YouTube and Twitch for video versions of the shows, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a hoodie or a mug or something else, head over to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. All right, and we are back. Once again, a big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. We thank you a ton. Means a lot.
Thank you.
Next month on, or let's see, this past month here on the Pilots Club, we covered Bird Girl, the like continuation / sequel to Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. So that was a lot of fun to check that one out. This next month, Puchinsky. Melissa, Puchinsky, what is this? What is Puchinsky?
Puchinsky is a failed pilot for a show in 1990, I believe. They made only the pilot. I don't know if it even aired. I don't know if this happened on television or if they filmed it and then the tape was buried and then at some point released to the internet. But Peter Boyle plays a cop who dies and gets reincarnated as a dog, a puppet dog, not even a real dog.
Sold. That's all you need to tell me. So yeah, be on the lookout for all of that stuff. It's good fun. Cool things that we've been up to here at the Whatnauts. We reached episode 100 of the Whatnauts Reactor Core. I put that out this morning, the day that we are recording this, so it's already up. Go check it out. We ranked all of the movies that we have ever covered on the Reactor Core. Not to be confused with the ones we have on the review show, only the ones on the Reactor Core. But man, that was fun.
If you such a disparate mix.
If you've ever asked yourself how Scoob would stack up against movies like Avengers Endgame or the Batman, this podcast is for you.
We literally ranked all the Marvel movies since Black Panther, and then we looked at that list, and then we're like, well, how does Detective Pikachu compare to these?
Yeah. It was a fun time. Ignacio joined us on that one. We had a blast, so go check it out.
Number one Scoob defender.
Right, yep. On the review show, like Melissa and I mentioned, this next week here, we are watching the first 3 Fast and the Furious movies. That's what we will be covering for our end of the month special for the next couple months in anticipation for Fast 10. So be on the lookout for all that good stuff. And then last week here on the Captain's Log, we did our Planorama, which we got to figure out what we're going to be doing for our taste test podcast, as well as our fantasy giraffes that we'll do, and some more things like that. Coming up in a few months here, a fantasy giraffe all about dads. We're gonna pick new dads, a team of 5 to be our new dads.
They don't need to be pre-existing dads either. They don't even have to be men. I know any character who you want to act in a fatherly role to you is who you get to draft.
They can be a dad in your heart.
Exactly.
So we have all sorts of fun stuff happening here at the Whatnauts. But that's about it for housekeeping right now. So Melissa, let me ask you this. What have you been watching?
I finally, in my own time, watched a movie I've pitched to you several times on the review show. I thought it was a slam dunk. You've never picked it. It is Danny Boyle's 2007 sci-fi movie, Sunshine. You have still failed to see Sunshine in your own life.
I am a vampire. I do not like the sunshine.
I watched it this week because Danny Boyle is the next director that the Blank Check podcast is going to be covering. So I'm brushing up on his work. I'd never seen any before.
Cool.
Sunshine is a movie where the sun is going to burn out. And so a spaceship with an all-star cast goes up to the sun, and they're going to put like a solar bomb in it, and it's going to like reignite the sun.
Sure.
Like that one episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog where they have to go up there and screw in a new light bulb. But it's written by Alex Garland, who did like Annihilation and Ex Machina and like real hard sci-fi stuff. You can see him in there. You can see the hard sci-fi in this thing. But it's also a thriller. I do not want to tell you how it is a thriller. I'll tell you it reminds me a lot of when we watched Stowaway, but the same thing that happened in Stowaway doesn't really happen here. So it's not like a copycat of that movie.
In the sense that there is something that is not expected that happens in this that throws a wrench into the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah, and one of the major problems is use of the limited resources we have up here on the space station. I don't want to tell you a lot about it because I went in knowing very little. And like I wasn't expecting the...
Good. Be honest.
Now I've done it. Please watch Sunshine. Please watch Sunshine and then come back to me and talk to me about it. Because this was one of the most like shocking film experiences I have had.
Okay. I will definitely make a note of this for sure. I think since exploring some of Alex Garland's sci-fi work, just even knowing that he's attached, like has perked up my ears like even that much more. I mean, you know me, I like a good sci-fi story. I like a good thriller. So you probably could have gotten me to watch this anyways at some point, but it just hasn't happened yet. So I will make sure I watch this in the near future.
Good.
But yeah, I have been watching a K-drama called Vagabond, which is on Netflix. And it's one that I've had in my list for a little while. Didn't really know anything about it, but was just like, well, the like basic trailer that plays looked kind of neat, so why not? And I started watching it, and this one had a weird kind of journey for me, I think is the right word. It's not like a weird circle, full circle. No. It had a strange journey because episode 1, like the pilot of the show, very much, and the rest of the show too, but especially episode 1 has very big, this is a cable TV show vibes. Remember when we did the pilot for our Patreon exclusive podcast for the End Game? Remember that show?
Yeah.
And like that was kind of one of the things. It's like I have nothing against like what's happening in this show. Like they kind of have an interesting premise here, but man, just the like, this is absolutely a cable TV show. Is like one of the things I said, just like the way it looks, the way it's filmed, the way the effects look, it just looks like it belongs on cable TV. That's how this show started out. And I was like, I don't know about some of the acting or the stunt works, and it's supposed to be this like action thriller spy kind of thing here. You might actually like it. It's not like James Bond in its spy stuff. Like there's no like fancy gadgets or stuff like that, but there's enough like action and gunfights and fist fights and things that it's just like, oh man, like this just seems like a good action show. But the show gets so ridiculous that it makes it wildly entertaining just to see like the ridiculous stuff that happens in this. The crazy plot, all of the it's really, really interesting. And today I was trying to finish it today. I only have the finale left, so I have one more to watch, and that's it. But in one of the episodes I watched today, there is a moment where this very minor side character comes through in a big way that is this like fist pumping, emotional,
those.
just like, oh yes, this is amazing. Way that I was not expecting.
We're gonna put that on our bingo cards. Minor character comes through in a big way,
right? But like I was not like you get it, like emotionally attached to the show in a weird way, not like necessarily for a certain character, or like I'm not crying at the like, oh, this scene's so sad, or like, oh, I just want them to get together, or like stuff like that. But there are scenes that absolutely make you like root for certain people, and when things happen, you're just like, yes, this is great. I love this. And so yeah, I've had an interesting journey with this show, and so I would recommend Vagabond.
All right.
16 episodes on Netflix, and that's it.
Okay.
There you go. Anyways, Melissa, it's Oscar season.
Let's one of the best times of the year.
So we got kind of fortunate. I didn't realize exactly when the Oscar stuff was happening exactly. I know you've been following it, you've been mentioning it, so I know it was happening soon, but I did not know how soon exactly. But this past week on the review show, we watched Swiss Army Man, directed and written by Daniels, the same creative team behind Everything Everywhere All at Once, and they got nominated for, I think, Best Directing for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it was just kind of serendipitous that we happened to watch that one in the same week that they got nominated, which was neat. So I'm glad that worked out.
This is the second year in a row I'm happy that you've had a dog in the race. Last year, we literally had a dog in the race because we watched The Power of the Dog on the review show like weeks before the Oscar nominees even came out. And then when I saw that it was nominated for like 10 or 11 things, I thought, well, now that I've got at least some context for, what the race is going to be, let me branch out. Let me watch these other movies. Let's see if I can watch all of them. And last year was the first year I've ever really gotten into the Oscars, followed the race, and I watched every Best Picture nominee. I watched every nominee in like most of the major categories.
That's cool.
And I don't think I'm going to hit everything again this year because I'm like, I did it once. I know I've done it once. This year I might just hit like 75% of them.
Yeah,
so
now,
what I wrote
you
on
know how to kind of like fine tune that of like what ones you actually need to pay attention to. I mean, they're all Oscar nominated, so they're all fantastic. But you have maybe your taste of like, I really want to watch the ones from these categories here.
Like, it's a good way to branch out, but sometimes it's just like that's a real bummer. That one looks too sad, and like the sort of like perfectionist pleasure of checking off the box if I watched all 10 is not going to be worth the emotional turmoil I have to go through to watch women talking. So I'm not going to. But what I wrote on our Captain's Log topics sheet was, I will read all the Oscar nominations if you don't stop me. So, Best Picture, All Quiet on the Western Front, a German movie, I believe, that is on Netflix. It
Yep.
is another adaptation of, I think, an old book that also inspired the previous All Quiet on the Western Front, a movie your dad or grandpa has probably watched.
I think I watched a section of it in school for some
Mm,
history class thing,
it's
but
a
that's it. That's all
World
I
War
know.
One tale. Followed by Avatar, The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin. Have you seen Banshees?
I have not. I've heard good things from someone who is Irish, but they
Oh,
also
good.
said, "Hey, if you're not from there or you're not Irish and you don't really know the culture or the history, you might not care as much, but it's still
No,
really
you're going to
good."
care. Yeah, you will care. This is written and directed by Martin McDonagh, starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. So it's the same team from In Bruges.
Okay, cool.
So you've got that going for you.
That was a great
We
one. Yeah.
have we have Elvis. We have Everything Everywhere All at Once. We have The
hmm
Fablemans. We have Tar. Have I told you about Tar?
You have. You've mentioned it a few times.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, which is uh also European. I forget specifically where, Danish, Swedish. I regret not knowing at this time, but it's
Okay.
sort of a satire. I think it's about a bunch of rich people who go on a cruise and then the cruise goes comically wrong. It's like a dark comedy. I don't really know what it is. And then
Gotcha.
Women Talking, a movie I thoroughly respect what I've heard about it, but I'm like, too sad, bad for me. Thank you for making such a film, Sarah Polley, but I'll be over here. Thank you. Lead actor Austin Butler as Elvis. Colin Farrell in The Banshees of Inisherin. He's not playing a banshee. I'll tell you that much. Brendan Fraser as the whale in the whale. Our Oscar nominated robot, as previously mentioned, the front runner to win.
Yeah.
Paul Mescal in After Sun. After Sun is a movie I have not seen yet. This is one of the more obscure, artier movies on this list of Oscar nominations. That tells
Sure.
you how arty it is. It's like he's like a single dad in like the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s, who like takes his like preteen daughter on a vacation, and the whole movie is like their home videos and like photos and things. It's sort of like a memory scrapbook, but it's told in these like little fragments and like kind of out of order, and like it doesn't have like a traditional narrative structure. And
Okay.
I have seen this be number one on so many critics lists, and everybody says the final shot of this movie destroyed me, and I have no
Ooh.
clue what that final shot is.
Says
It's like
the
I got
end.
it's over.
Yeah.
So I gotta see After Sun. I think I have to get a
It
subscription
says
to like
After
movie
Sun will
for it.
return in the Avengers. King Dynasty.
Come back next year for After Sun.
Yeah.
The After Sun after tomorrow. And finally, Bill Nighy in Living. Another movie that sounds too sad for me to watch. I think he plays a guy who's going to die, and he's like, well, how do I live before I die? I'm sure it's better than that. Oscar nominee Bill Nighy.
I got you.
Lead actress Kate Blanchett in Tar. Ana de Armas in Blonde. Another movie that I've heard is kind of a rough watch, but I want to at least start it. I want to at least see some of this performance. Like I could find like
I watched
20
it.
minutes of Blonde to watch. Yeah.
It's an interesting movie for sure. It is. I will say it is on the artier side. But it's not so like art house film that it's like the one you mentioned that like it was
Sun.
only at film festivals for this that yeah it's not that, but it is also long and it is kind of slow. So I feel like for the Marilyn Monroe enthusiasts, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Okay.
I watched it because I was like, Netflix's first NC-17 movie.
Oh, Ooh,
There you go.
Netflix.
We'll see what that's about. Yeah.
Okay.
Beyond is on Netflix, and that was their first NC-17 rated
Wow.
film. So that was why I wanted to check it out.
Excellent criteria. I've never seen an NC-17 rated film. I'd kind of like to. I just want to check that off the list of life experiences. So if I don't finish this one, I'll find something. We have Andrea Riseborough in To Leslie, which is a very odd story because this is a tiny, tiny movie that was not even getting out to critics. Critics weren't getting screeners or anything. But she really had her own little grassroots campaign and reached out to a bunch of acting peers who hosted Q&As with her and stuff. And it got enough buzz in the last 2 weeks to get her on the nominations list.
There you go.
Interesting story. And then Michelle Williams from The Fabelmans, and then Michelle Yeoh for Everything Ever All at Once. I think the winner for this one's between Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh.
Cool.
Supporting actor Brendan Gleeson for The Banshees of Inisherin. Brian Tyree Henry for a movie called Causeway, which I'll have to get out and see now because I really like him. I've heard people talking about this performance. Yeah, I love him and everything. So I got to find this thing because I know people were he's really good in that, but it seems too small. There's not really enough else in the movie to get any attention. So I'm happy he pushed through. Judd Hirsch in The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan in The Banshees of Inisherin. I wanted to bring this up in our Reactor Core 100th episode when y'all were blasting Eternals, just to tell you, 2 Eternals this year alone, Oscar nominated.
Yep.
And
Indeed.
finally, Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once, the lock to win.
There you go. Good stuff.
Best supporting actor. You're not wrapping me up. I'm not even done with the major ones.
Sure. How many more sections did you have at least?
Oh boy. No, well, now that I've told you what a bunch of the movies are, it is going to go faster. We've got, I don't know. It depends on how far you want me to get into sound mixing.
I don't need sound mixing stuff. Because the only thing I had was the question about Brendan Fraser. So I don't know if you want me to insert that now, and then we can do
insert it now
after. Or okay.
What are your Fraser queries?
So he's getting nominated for some awards. Congratulations to him. I'm super happy for him. That's incredible. I'm happy that he's back in acting. The way I've heard people talk about this, it is that The Whale is his first movie back. But that's not true. Unless he filmed this a while back and it's just been in production or somehow was delayed. Is that right?
I don't know the story behind The Whale. I don't know if it was delayed. I know he was in Batgirl, and now there's no Batgirl. I don't know. I don't know if this is literally his first movie in a long time, or if it's just this is the first notable performance in a long time.
Sure. I obviously first notable one in a long time. He's in Doom Patrol, but he mostly does the voice acting in that for Robot Man, which he's fantastic in that. I like it a lot. But he was also in this very small HBO Max crime movie. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that was his first one back. But I don't know. I don't follow his career close enough to know. So I was just wondering if you knew or had some insight on that of they filmed Whale during the pandemic kind of, and it got delayed here and did that. And
I am maybe it's his first theatrical film in a while. If you said this other one was an HBO Max original, I don't know. I just know that it is a comeback and a triumph. I went to see The Whale. It's I can see why it didn't get any nominations for like a screenplay or director or film, but it is truly a riveting performance from Brendan
Cool.
Fraser. Like he is why you see this movie. It is absolutely worth it. Like I
Yeah.
knew I had to see this thing. I didn't know when it was coming to streaming, so I just like paid the $13 and drove to the theater. And I'm like, this was worth it to see this sad movie.
There you go. That's
Check
cool.
it out.
That's
Which
cool.
takes
Good
us
for
to
him.
best.
I'm happy.
Good for Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
I hope he's pretty. It's very likely he's going to win. I think Colin Farrell might be like the closest second. Austin Butler's kind of up there too, but it really seems like it's Fraser's year to get it. Best supporting actress, we've got Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. What did we say last July when the trailer came out? Again, she's the favorite to win here. Mm-hmm. We also have Hong Chow from The Whale. So there are 2 acting noms for The Whale. Yeah. Both excellent. You who's also in The Whale? Ty Simpkins, the kid from Iron Man 3. We spent the whole movie going, I know this kid from somewhere. It's him. He's back. He's doing pretty well for himself.
Good.
We also have Carrie Condon from The Banshees of Inisherin, and both Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Makes sense.
Best director, Martin McDonagh, Banshees of Inisherin. The Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. I'm looking at this on the Fandango website. I like because they've got like a big picture of everybody or a picture of the movie poster. There's no picture for Steven Spielberg, I guess, because they're like, well, who doesn't know what he looks like? You've seen him.
Man needs no introduction.
Right. Blank. Todd Field for Tar and Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. Adapted screenplay. Now, adapted screenplay means anything that is not wholly original. So adapted screenplay is anything that's based off of like a play or a book, or it's or a previous movie, or any movie that is a sequel. So we've got All Quiet in the Western Front. This is the only place Glass Onion got in, and I was really surprised.
I think that's why they did their like small theatrical release of just like, here we go, slide it in.
It could have gone farther. Like a lot of people were talking about Janelle Monáe maybe getting a Best Supporting Actress nom for this, or I would like to have seen it in directing or something, picture, but we got adapted screenplay. It's that, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. I think Women Talking might be the favorite to win. Original screenplay, Banshees, Everything Everywhere, Fabelmans, Tar, Triangle of Sadness. See, it's going faster now. I did all the prep work up front. Animated feature, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, which I have heard is a great time. I've got to see this thing. People have been raving about Puss in Boots, The Last Wish.
I've heard the same. Yep.
The Sea Beast. Have you seen The Sea Beast?
I have not. This
is on Netflix. I checked this one out. It's really fun. It's about a world full of these like pirate ships that hunt sea beasts. And this little girl, she lives in an orphanage because her parents were like hunters and then they died. And so she's grown up with this storybook of brave tales of the hunters. The hunters are like the national heroes. So even though she's like 11, she runs away. She like sneaks on board this like hunting ship, gets embroiled in like a whole trip where like, oh, I get shipwrecked on this island, just me and this one sailor, and then this monster's after us. But I think really the monster is friendly, and maybe like the country we're in is doing something wrong by hunting the monsters. It's beautiful. It's got really cool character design. Like every time there was like a group shot of a bunch of sailors or whatever, it's like you could make any one of these the protagonist.
Claymation.
It's CG.
Okay.
It's CG.
I gotcha.
And just like a really interesting, like mature story, like really nuanced lessons in this one. It's got a lot going on. I really recommend The Sea Beast.
There you go. Kumail in our chat says the Sea Beast sounds terrifying.
The beast itself, surprise, very friendly It's a great beast. I love the creature design in this. It's so fun.
Cool. Good. Good.
And then finally, Turning Red.
Yeah.
I think Pinocchio is the favorite to win in this category. We got, and now we're into like the more technical ones. Cinematography. I don't know the favorite in this category yet. I personally would give it to Elvis. I really like the cinematography in Elvis.
I could
It's
see
so
that
kinetic.
winning. Yeah. I mean,
But the only other one I've seen in this category is
he's
Tar.
directing. But yeah, I don't know who. I feel like I always construe like directing with cinematography. I know that they are separate things, but like the director is the more like mainstream known, like, oh yeah, this is the one that directed this, but you don't hear as much about like famous cinematographers.
Yeah, I can name Roger Deakins, and like that's mostly it for the cinema world outside of like TV shows where I see the cinematographer, like the director of photography credit, like at the bottom of every episode that I'm watching.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a lot to learn. Costume design, we've got Babylon. Have you seen Babylon yet?
I have not.
I would like for you to see Babylon. I would like to discuss Babylon with you.
I'm a little behind on seeing movies and stuff, so I need to start catching up.
This is the time when local theaters put out like an Oscars package. Like I know one of my local chains, Marcus, they had like for $40, you can get in to see showings of all 10 Best Picture winner, like all 10 Best Picture nominees, and I think a showing of like all of the short films. So that's a really good value. That's less than like $4 a movie.
Yeah,
I'd go for it, except I've already seen most of them. Like there's only 2 more I have to see. But I'd look for these. Look for these. Your chains are going to do them. You can get in for cheap. Especially, I get it's tricky because some of these are long movies, like Babylon and Avatar, are both like they're like $310 a piece. So it's quite an undertaking, but do what you can. See, this is why I'm here. I doubt you. If your office is doing like, hey, we're doing like an Oscars ballot, I'm giving you all the answers right now. Yeah, costume design, Wakanda Forever. The original Black Panther won. You know, very easily could win here again. Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once. One lone nomination for Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
I have no idea what that one is, but yeah, I would say either
it's about
Elvis
an old lady who's
Black
like,
Panther.
I'm gonna go to Paris. She's just like this little British lady who works as like a housekeeper or something, but she like secretly longs to have like beautiful Chanel gowns. So she's finally saved up enough money and she goes to Paris like, I'm buying a gown.
Great. It's a movie.
We're getting into like editing. It's just a list of the same movies over and over again. I'll tell you, makeup and hairstyling. That's always an interesting category. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front, which has picked up a ton of noms this year. Like I've heard it is a harsh watch, but seeing how many things it has been nominated for, like I'll watch it. I'm not very experienced with war movies, which is another reason why I want to give this one a shot. Like it is a genre I would like to know a little bit better, even knowing that it is among the most harrowing of genres. Like I'll watch like a war movie a year. If everybody says this one is good, I'll check out this one. The Batman.
Yeah. That one would make sense.
Wakanda Forever, Elvis, and The Whale. The prosthetics in The Whale are really something. I can't believe in this. You're turning a guy into a whale and you're turning a guy into a penguin in this category. Like these are tough. These are these are quite challenging.
It's so funny.
Babylon's my pick for original score. We're petering out here. No, this is what we're ending on. This is the final thing I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Nominated for Best Original Song, which means they're going to perform it at the Oscars. Every nominee for Best Original Song gets a performance live at the Oscars. Natu Natu from RRR.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Regardless of what wins, seeing that performed live at the Oscars, it is going to win that. It is going to win the live performance at the Oscars. I think this is what people are going to talk about. I really hope they're able to do it with like, see how many like the actors can come out and do it if they can get some of the same like scale that you have in the movie there at like the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles.
That'd be so cool. Yeah. Man, what a good movie that was.
Finally, just because I know you'd like to hear it, The Batman also nominated for sound and visual effects.
Cool. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. A nice assortment this year. I think you've got some big popular things. Like, I was looking at the list of nominees. I'm like, 3 or 4 of these are movies my parents have seen or would see. And like, that doesn't happen every year. Like, you've got the like real arty stuff. Like, you've got something like Tar, which is a real challenging watch. But then you also have big blockbusters like Avatar and Maverick. So many people saw Elvis. Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's the favorite to win. And like, that's been like so many people's favorite movie of the year, from critics all the way down to just like friends I know. People just see a couple movies a year. Like, I think there's really something here to play to like almost anybody. And out of all the actors I named, out of those 20 actors, 16 of them are first-time nominees. Damn. Like, and the only person in here who has won before is Cate Blanchett. Like, that's a lot of, I don't know, awesome. Like really exciting young new talent faces, or like older actors like Bill Nighy who are getting these, you know, these great accolades for like an excellent, like long-lived career. Like, it's exciting. I look forward to this one.
Good stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see all the awards being passed out and what all the best new movies are, best performances, all of that stuff. It's always good to check that stuff out and be like, what did I miss this last year that I need to check out? So thanks for running all that down.
I thank you for letting me. That's
always.
I've become like such a nerd. Like Tuesday morning, I was like, I knew they came out Tuesday morning. So I was like waiting to like see them and then get the breakdown from Little Gold Men, which is like the podcast that taught me all this stuff. Very little of my thoughts are original thoughts. I just distill what other people tell me. And the great thing about that podcast is that it really is about like the game of like the true race of the Oscars.
Sure,
like it's by like these Vanity Fair journalists who are like in the room at all these film festivals and all these different awards shows, even like the big ones, the small ones. They're at these like the critics circle dinners and all these things. And like they see the people who are nominated for the awards interact with the people who are voting on the awards. They can like look at a room and be like, by the way everybody is reacting to this person, I think they're the favorite to win. I see how much charm they have, how much everybody loves them, how much they command the room, and I think that's translating into a statue.
Good stuff. Well, I say we wrap things up there because we have a hard out. We need to get going here. But Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities.
There you go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer. And if you guys would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, of course, we are at the Whatnauts. So please go like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that. If you are watching the YouTube version of this, go check out one of our other videos right over there on that side. That would help us out too. But yeah, this has been number 220 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.